Section 9. Safeguarding children and adults at risk. Safeguarding means protecting children and adults at risk, sometimes called vulnerable adults, from harm and abuse. This section gives you information on how to keep your passengers safe. Please read through the sections below. Who is a child or adult at risk? According to the law, a child is a person under the age of 18. All children are vulnerable to harm and abuse because of their age. Children are less able to protect themselves and are dependent on adults. This makes them vulnerable to being exploited or abused. An adult at risk is anyone over the age of 18 who is in need of extra care and support. An adult may be at risk of harm or abuse because they are unable to protect themselves. This might be because of their age, a disability, or mental illness. Carrying unaccompanied children in your vehicle. If your passenger is an unaccompanied child, make sure your operator knows and that you know the name of the adults who will be meeting the child at the end of the journey. Your operator should give you that information. As a driver, you may have to transport children or adults who are at risk. You may come into contact with passengers that are being trafficked, exploited, abused, or who are in need of help in some other way. You can help with this, and you should know what to do if you have concerns that a person is at risk. You may notice things which don't seem quite right, and you could be in a position to report something to the police that may help to protect someone at risk. Make sure your behaviour with all passengers, including children and adults at risk, is always appropriate and professional. Be aware of how your actions could affect others. Keeping children and adults at risk safe from harm and abuse is everybody's responsibility, not just social workers or the police. County lines. Criminal exploitation is known as county lines. This is when gangs and organised crime groups use children and young adults to sell drugs. These children and young adults are often forced to travel across counties, for example, by train or in taxis and private hire vehicles, and they use mobile phone lines to keep in contact with individuals in the drug trade. Signs that a child or vulnerable person is at risk may include young or vulnerable people being picked up and taken to hotels or suspected brothels, particularly at odd times of the day and night. A young person travelling to meet someone they don't know, perhaps who they've met online. A young person or adult who shows signs of being abused, harmed or neglected. Adults putting a young person into your vehicle who may be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. A child or young person who looks concerned or frightened in the company of adults. An adult or young person who may be poorly dressed, unclean, or look like they do not get enough food. An adult who seems to be controlled by someone else, or is having decisions made for them by another adult. An adult who seems to have their money controlled by someone else. If you think you've seen a child or adult at risk who needs help or is suffering from signs of abuse, or if they've told you directly, you must report it to your operator and to the police. It's helpful to keep a note, written or recorded, of the incident or situation that you're worried about. Include details such as dates and times, a description of what happened, the name, address and a physical description of the people involved. You can give these details to the police. As a driver, it's important to be aware of children and adults at risk. Be concerned about their well-being. Listen to what they tell you. Reassure them by being professional, kind and considerate. Report concerns to your PHV operator or the police using 101. In an emergency, call 999. Other support. In most situations, you should report any incidents or concerns to your PHV operator controller and the police by calling 101 or in an emergency 999. These are some other options if you don't feel it's appropriate to report the matter to the police. Crime Stoppers, an anonymous service on 0800 555 111. The National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, or NSPCC, on 0808 800 5000. The Modern Slavery Helpline on 08000 121 700. Knowledge Check. This is the end of the Section 9 video. The next video takes you through Section 10 of the online assessment guide.